Your customers are central to your success as an entrepreneur. But part of being able to provide value to your customers is being able to actually access them. This is where your partners become so important. While you're listening to your customers to understand their problems and how your big idea can potentially differentiate itself, you also need to gain information concerning how you'll be able to supply your product to your customers. This requires you to start talking to potential suppliers and channel partners to determine who your partners are and whether they can provide the elements necessary to solve your customers' problems. Setting up meetings with potential partners is less daunting than setting up meetings with customers. Specifically, they should be anxious to listen to you just as you're anxious to listen to your customers. Suppliers have an incentive to answer your questions and help you solve your problems since they're trying to win your business. Setting up a meeting with a potential partner is as easy as sending an email or calling them up. It's a good strategy to approach this first contact in basically the same way you would approach a customer call. Start with the connection. Let them know how you found them. Then quickly address the problem you're hoping they can solve. Ask for a clear commitment to meet, if meeting is necessary, and finally, let them know that there's the potential for a future sale. The first potential partners you'll need to talk to are your suppliers. At a basic level, you need to find out whether they have the capacity to supply what you need, their prices, and potential discounts. But this is effectively just their generic product. You also need to find out what their augmented product entails. Ask about their delivery conditions, installation services, post-installation service, training, and anything else that would help you solve your underlying problem. Remember, you're paying for the total product, so cheaper is not always better. As with customers, make sure your conversation is problem-focused and not product-focused. Make sure your suppliers understand your problems and encourage them to offer recommendations on how they can solve your problem. This will allow the conversation to expand way beyond just product and price. For instance, if your problem is that you need to provide a service cheaper than your competitors but still maintain a reasonable quality level, is there a standardized approach you could take that would reduce your cost, ultimately lowering the price they charge you? Could they provide specific training that will make your future employees more efficient? The range of your potential strategies will depend crucially on what your suppliers charge you. So the more options you consider now, the more flexibility you'll have in creating a sustainable venture in the future. Remember, in this case, you're the customer, and once the supplier understands that, the dialogue will change and the supplier will become focused on making you happy. The second group of potential partners you should be talking to at this stage are your channel partners. These are the companies that will sell your product or service, such as distributors, vendors, and retailers. In the case of nonprofits, these are the organizations who attract donors or drive web traffic to your website. In the early days, it may be necessary to deal directly with the end user and customer without the intervention of a channel partner. But as your enterprise develops, there's a good chance you'll want to involve others in maximizing your customer and user reach. It's important to talk to channel partners since they're an integral link in the customer experience chain. They're often the point of sale for the customer, which is part of the total product the customer is considering. A book bought in a bookstore is a very different product than a book delivered to your mobile device that you can purchase online at any hour of the day. As with suppliers, setting up a meeting with channel partners tends to be fairly straightforward. At the meeting, however, the conversation will have a different tone. In particular, You need to discover what value they're adding to the product. Again, following Steve Blank and Bob Dorf's customer discovery phase, you need to ask questions such as, how do customers access their channel? Is your product one that they would sell proactively? Do they want to advertise your product and have customers call them directly? Do they need incentives to sell your product? For instance, shelf stocking fees or a guaranteed sale policy. What's the minimum dollar size for a transaction to interest them? In addition, your potential channel partners are a wonderful source of information concerning your customers and your potential competitors. Ask them, do they hear of customers asking for a product like yours? How do potential partners make money? How do companies establish a relationship with them? How does their business model compare to others in the industry? Ultimately, you should ask questions until you understand your channel partner's business model well enough to explain it to somebody else. As your channel partners are part of your total product, you'll likely need to do just that at some point. Whether you're meeting with suppliers or channel partners, you'll want to take a lot of notes, just like when you're meeting with your customers. Make sure you record important logistical information and keep a scorecard on each potential supplier to help you derive a strategy in the next phase of the entrepreneurial life cycle. And as with customers, obtain information everywhere you possibly can. Meet with companies in similar markets to find out about their partners. Go to industry trade shows where a large number of suppliers and channel partners are there for the sole purpose of talking to you. Just as with your customers, you must get out of the office and listen to your partners.